Welcome into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine. Tom Vandervoort is on the end, and right smack dab in the middle, the head honch, NASCAR editor for Sporting News, Jeff Owens. Good to have you in here, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
And you're writing a story about the most disappointing drivers of 2012, and you're doing this in order, right? Now, it seems to me, at the top of the list, you got to either put Carl Edwards or Jeff Gordon. Which way did you go?
Jeff Gordon, no question about it.
Really?
This is, you know, the lowest points position Jeff Gordon has ever been in his career, which is amazing. You know, 20 years and he's never been.
Even with a mustache?
Even with a mustache. No, he's never. Back when he was driving these cars when he was 12, he's never been this low in points ever.
How much of it
amazing
is luck? I mean, because you look at some of the loop data, he's been fast a lot of the time.
He has. He's led a lot of laps. He's been in contention. He's been fast. He's had horrendous luck. He even laughs about it now. It's been so bad. But he also hasn't run quite as well. He's been inconsistent.
On behalf of Carl Edwards being the most disappointing, only because the expectations for Carl Edwards coming off of 2011 were so high, and he's only led laps in 2 races. Of his 207 laps led, 206 of them came in 1 race. I think Carl Edwards, because he had so much further to fall, to me is more disappointing.
And not only that, but because of how his teammates have run. I mean, Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth have led to points most of the year.
Right. When you look at what Carl did last year, he led the standings 21 weeks and had a record average finish in the chase, the best ever. When you look at that and then you look at what he's done this year, definitely he's been very disappointing. You know, the thing that strikes me is that, you know, last year Carl was in the top 5 almost every single week. This year he's racing really, really hard to get just inside the top 10. He's only got 2 top 5s all year long. He's 11th in points. He's only 2 points out of 10th. But you didn't expect this guy coming off the season he had last year to be battling just to make the chase, particularly when his teammates were at the top of the standings.
Now, you did put Kyle Busch and Casey Kane on your list, but can't you chalk their misfortune up to luck a lot in a lot of instances?
Yes, in some instances, particularly recently for Kyle. 3 blown engines in a row, he can't do anything about that. But I look at Kyle as a guy who also has not run as consistently well as we're used to. He's also only got 1 win. 15 races into the year, he usually gets off to a hot start. He's got 3 or 4 wins by now. He also got off to a terrible start to the season, and that kind of buried him a little bit. Then he hit a hot streak, won a race, clicked off top 5s, was rolling along. Now he's had a huge setback with the engine problems. He's outside the chase. He's probably going to bounce back and be fine, being Kyle Busch, going to win some races. But, you know, you got to look at where he's at right now and say he's been disappointing. Casey, same thing. Got off to a horrendous start. I don't think anybody expected that. A lot of that was bad luck, but he still got off to a terrible start. Bounced back, won a race. Now he's stumbling again.
Well, the problem is their margin for error is gone.
Exactly.
If you look at both those guys, you're going to have finishes, bad luck finishes that are out of your control. So the last thing you want to do is have self-inflicted wounds like blowing engines. Yeah,
he's in a position now where he's either got to win again, which is very possible with him and Kyle Busch, but you've used up your bad luck, and you can't have many more poor finishes.
But let's go just down the line real quick, and each of us can talk about one more driver that hasn't been discussed that we are disappointed in. Tom, you go first.
Well, you put Danica Patrick on the list.
I did. I almost
What were your expectations?
Better than what we've seen.
Yeah. 1 top 10.
I think we have to give her the benefit of the doubt. She is still learning. We knew this was a work in progress and a learning curve and all these other cliches that everybody likes to use. But she really hasn't shown a lot of progress.
I think going back to these tracks a second time this year with her team as a regular driver in the Nationwide Series, to me that's going to be the acid test. I'm going to give her a pass until she starts going back to these tracks.
Right. To me, I look at the fact that she's only got 1 top 10 finish. And last year she showed some real potential in the Nationwide Series, but it seems like she's taking a step back this year.
I think so. I think so. I mean, and I circled that her average start is 14.6, her average finish is 20.8. Those numbers are just too far apart.
She's had a lot of problems out on the racetrack. Michigan was a perfect example.
Yeah, she's been in some wrecks, and then you look at the 2 Cup starts, the 3 Cup starts. Daytona you can throw out because she got in a wreck. It wasn't her fault. But the other 2 were pretty terrible.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk about Jeff Burton just because I was so hoping that last year was an anomaly, and to see him repeat his performance from last year this year is really disappointing just because he's Jeff Burton.
Right.
You want him to succeed. Any last guy you want to throw out there really quickly before we wrap this up?
Well, I think A.J. Allmendinger. Huge expectations for him this year going to Penske. That has not worked out. He's got one top 10 and has been just horrible.
Can you chalk some of that up to just the transition, though?
I think the pressure of the high expectations, and then he has some bad luck. He gets in a hole, and maybe he's trying a little too hard now,
pushing,
driving over his head.
Right.
That's a common thing with these guys who are trying to build a career for themselves, and I think maybe he's just.
Does he have a leash at all? I mean, is he going to have to do something second half of this year?
I think he's only got a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
So he's under tremendous pressure right now, and I think he's really got to show something in the second half of the season.
All right, that's Tom Vandervoort on the end, Jeff Owens, and I'm Stephen Levine. Thanks for watching. Check back on a regular basis. We got lots more videos to come.